can!
It's almost!
He's done it again! Unbelievable!
Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So a good performance.
Hi, you're watching Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. Right, on the show today, Indian cricket team lose the first test to South Africa in Kolkata and in just 3 days. What's the reason behind the loss? While most critics have lashed out at the pitch and the Indian think tank, what's the bigger concern for the team heading into test number 2? Portugal makes it to the 2026 FIFA World Cup thanks to a thumping win over Armenia, but the one thing everyone's talking about is Cristiano Ronaldo's absence. After being red-carded and booed during the game against Ireland, why did Ronaldo not be there on the sidelines during the next matchup? And India A versus Pakistan A turns ugly and just short of a scuffle. Are the juniors across both countries just carrying forward what their seniors are? With Pakistan's young cricketers resorting to sledging and loud celebrations, is this the new normal for all India-Pakistan clashes in cricket? But first, the headlines on Sports 360. Starting with cricket, Pakistan whitewashed Sri Lanka in the 3-match ODI series. The hosts opted to bowl first in the final ODI. Mohammad Wasim Jr. picked up 3 wickets, helping his side bowl Sri Lanka out for 211. Mohammad Rizwan's 61 helped Pakistan get over the line. In news from tennis and the year-ending ATP World Tour Finals, world number 2 Yannick Sinner outclassed world number 1 Carlos Alcaraz to clinch the title. The Italian won the clash in straight sets. The duo became the first pair in tennis's history to face off in summit encounters for more than 3 Grand Slam events and the ATP Finals in one single season. Alcaraz won the US Open and the French Open, while Sinner won Wimbledon and the ATP titles. Moving to football, Norway beat Italy 4-1 to qualify for the 2026 World Cup. Erling Haaland scored the brace as Norway topped the points table. For the first time in 28 years, Norway will play in the main draw. Italy, who finished second in the group, will now head to playoffs. The Azuris haven't qualified for the World Cup since 2014. Over in the NBA, LeBron James has returned to practice with the LA Lakers. The NBA star hasn't featured once this season due to injury. The Lakers have had a great start to the season with 10 wins and only 4 losses. They will next face Utah Jazz on the 19th of November. And Australia's Paralympic gold medal winner, Paige Greco, died at 28. Her family said Greco experienced a sudden medical condition. She won Australia's first gold medal at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. The cyclist also set a world record in one of the individual events. She also won 2 bronze in the same edition. The Indian cricket team has started their home defence in the next WTC, the World Test Championship cycle, with a loud and resounding loss. A loss that is deafening, and the reasons are quite a few. South Africa, on the other hand, looked to be going from strength to strength, at least in this format, the Tests. So what went wrong? How did India crumble to a defeat within 3 days? Is it the fault of the think tank and the spin-friendly track that was on show? Or is it something else? I'll give you every perspective here, of course, and we'll back it up with facts and expert opinions. We'll start with the obvious, the pitch, a rank turner, and in all fairness, what the hosts wanted, what they asked for, and what they got. Fair and square. Now, first, this meant neither of the sides could really stick around for too long. Wickets kept tumbling, of course. What should be long sessions turning into quick innings, like a one-day affair, making a 5-day test a 3-day match. Plus, and more importantly, it exposed this Indian side. One additional instance that this Indian team has asked the venue to give them a spinning track, and they have failed to deliver. So clearly, experts immediately pointed fingers at the core of the squad for wanting to execute such a plan yet again. Of course, a lot of conversations around that pitch, whether that was apt and how it completely set the Indian team back. But that leads me to the team selection bit now, because obviously the think tank here, the coach, the captain and a few key members picked a spin-heavy 11 because clearly the spinners would do all the heavy lifting in this test, restrict the visitors and squeeze them dry of runs, and so the batters would come and finish the job. Well, wrong. South Africa faltered to put up a decent total, yes, but if this track was challenging for them, it should ideally have been a little less challenging for the hosts themselves, the very hosts who asks for this kind of conditions, who were certain that they'll nail the target. Yes, 124 was a difficult one to get, but not ungettable. The responsibility then, for sure, let's lay squarely on the batters, few of them, and seniors in the side to carry that load, the KL Rahuls, the Shubman Gills, Rishabh Pants and Ravindra Jadejas. It was on these few senior batters to carry the team across the line. The skipper unfortunately injured himself out of the crucial run chase. So you had one batter down and then you had young batters in your top three and a bunch of batters who just couldn't play spin, who just couldn't negate the demons on the pitch. Yes, 124 was a tough one to get in those conditions. But if your team couldn't score those mere runs, you do not deserve to be on the right side of the result here. Gautam Gambhir says that, and while he's right, that's not the only factor that contributed to this loss, and this embarrassing one at that. It's just blindly following a pattern that once worked long ago when you had the likes of our Ashwin and Jadeja operating in tandem and were at their peak. The last 1 year and a few months earlier as well has showed us otherwise. Doesn't anyone remember Mitchell Santner? That's the latest case recently, just last year, and New Zealand running riot on spin-friendly tracks and demolishing India 4-0. And that was when they had the additional services of Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, quality in that side and seniors. What's changed today? Clearly, nothing much. We spoke about conditions. We spoke about team combinations and we've spoken about competence, but what about character? The character to fight, to hold on and show some resolve as the going got tough. Show the right attitude. Be discerning enough to understand your opponents just won the World Test Championships. They are not a pushover and they are here to prove just that. Instead, India just came across showing more bravado, more glib talking, taunting the opposite captain, Themba Bavuma, for his height or the lack of it here. But unfortunately, only one team and one captain stood tall on Sunday, and that was not India, and that was not Shubman Gill. So to say only pitch here was at fault would be a mistake. It was all of these things that really mattered and combined to put India out of the contest. The two teams head to Guwahati next. It's a must-win for India, of course. And the hosts here have a choice. They have a decision to make, and a key one at that. Continue to be dogged and back a plan that has clearly failed them, and not once, multiple times in the past. Just to stick to a particular plan and try to get it right eventually. That's option one. The other is to try and tweak what has clearly not been working for a while in an attempt to level the series here by bouncing back. Portugal have officially sealed their place at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. They destroyed Armenia 9-1 in the qualifiers, a huge moment for a nation that has been chasing football's biggest prize for decades. And an even bigger moment for one man in particular, Cristiano Ronaldo, because this World Cup will mark his 6th appearance on the biggest stage of them all. We're talking about history, about legacy and immortality. This is the stuff Ronaldo breathes. But here's where things take a strange turn. Despite all of this, Portugal's talisman was not present for the Armenia match. Yes, he was suspended. The red card against Ireland ruled him out of this one, but being suspended doesn't mean not being there at all. And when the match is happening in Portugal, the obvious question is, why wasn't Cristiano Ronaldo at camp? Why wasn't he there on the sidelines cheering his team on? All weekend long, one name dominated the conversation: Ronaldo. Naturally, he's the story wherever he goes. So when Portugal fell 2-0 to Ireland, the discussion wasn't about tactics, not even about the loss. It was about CR7's first ever red card in 226 international appearances. An ugly altercation with the referee, a heated moment with Ireland coach, sarcastic applause at the Irish fans when they jeered him off the field. Classic Ronaldo. Except this time, it all boiled over. The irony here is that just a day before the kickoff, Ronaldo said this:
"What I want most is to enjoy myself. I repeat, I hope they boo me again tomorrow. I promise I'll try to be a good boy."
He promised he'd be good, and well, he wasn't. But again, this is Ronaldo. He's fiercely competitive. So the bigger question is not about his behavior. It's this: why wasn't the captain in spirit present for Portugal's next game, a historic qualifier inside his own country? Reports claim that manager Roberto Martinez released him from the squad. So the first guess would be Ronaldo being penalized for his behavior in the previous game. But this wasn't Martinez's reaction to the whole incident.
The red card is just a captain that has never been sent off before in 226 games. I think that just deserves credit, and today I thought it was a bit harsh because he cares about the team.
So if he cares, if he's the leader, if he defines this generation, why wasn't he there? And let's be honest, you don't ask Cristiano Ronaldo to leave. If he wants to stay, he stays. We learned this back in 2022. Remember Portugal versus Morocco, quarterfinal of the Qatar World Cup. Ronaldo was benched, Portugal lost, coach Fernando Santos was sacked. With mega stars like Ronaldo or Messi, dressing room politics works differently. Their presence is bigger than tactics. So if Ronaldo wasn't with the Portuguese side against Armenia, it's because he didn't stay, not because he was asked or told to go. But that's what makes the situation all the more puzzling. Ronaldo's presence is not just symbolic. It lifts the dressing room. It boosts morale. It sends a message to the opponents. And missing a key match where Portugal could officially book a World Cup ticket, that just feels, well, strange. Especially for a man who has always shown up for his team, no matter what, suspended or otherwise. Exhibit A, Euro 2016 final, Ronaldo injured but coaching from the touchline like a man possessed. Exhibit B, 2017 La Liga ban, Ronaldo still in the stands supporting Real Madrid. Exhibit C, 2024 Saudi League ban for obscene gesture, he watched on from the stands. This is the same Ronaldo who once said he'd die on the pitch for Portugal. So breaking that pattern here is a big deal. And then, of course, comes the other piece to this puzzle, Ronaldo's own words, dismissing the importance of the World Cup recently.
"I'd say it's not a dream for me to win the World Cup." To define what? To define if I'm one of the best in history? To win one competition, 6 games, 7 games, do you think it's fair?
Now, this is the same Ronaldo who cried uncontrollably after the Euro 2016 triumph, who celebrated the Nations League trophy like it was a World Cup. So why suddenly take a philosophy-heavy stance? Is it pressure? Is it acceptance that time is running out? Is it a sense of defiance? Either way, it adds another layer to the mystery. Cristiano Ronaldo is still the heartbeat of Portugal football. His legacy is untouchable. His influence is undeniable. But moments like these, not turning up for a historic qualifier for his side, not standing beside his team even though he's not required or he's suspended, downplaying World Cup ambitions, they all just don't add up. One thing is sure though, Portugal's World Cup story in 2026 will begin and will end with Cristiano Ronaldo, whether he likes it or not. And it is his time to prove how much he truly cares about this team. India, Pakistan and the Asia Cup. At this point, it's less of a cricket tournament and more of a geopolitical pressure cooker situation that's disguising itself as a sporting contest. Episode 1, the Senior Asia Cup, still hasn't ended because India still hasn't received their trophy. with Pakistan's Interior Minister Mohsin Naqvi still holding on to the silverware. And cricket fans didn't get even a moment to breathe because the sequel arrived, Episode 2, the Asia Cup Rising Stars, clash between junior cricketers, but there was nothing minor about the face-off. A heated, fiery, controversial clash which has forced us to ask, is this the new normal when it comes to India versus Pakistan in sports? Tension, toxicity and theatrics instead of talent. Well, almost 2 months now. That's how long it's been since India lifted the Seniors Asia Cup title. They beat Pakistan fair and square in the final. They refused to take the trophy from Mohsin Naqvi, the Interior Minister for Pakistan. And what did the PCB chief do? He didn't resolve the matter. He walked away with the trophy. That drama has not found a resolution yet. The dust hasn't settled, but the juniors have picked up the fight now. Pakistan A beat India A by 8 wickets, but nobody's talking about the result. They're talking about the behavior, the conduct, the pattern that's emerging, because what happened in the group stage game isn't an isolated incident. This is a part of a culture that's developing, a bit of a habit, a trend that's clearly being passed on from the seniors to the juniors. The first flashpoint in this match, no handshakes. The juniors followed the same script. Second flashpoint, Ubaid Shah versus Vaibhav Suryavanshi. Ubaid Shah chirping non-stop, staring down at the teenager, trying to provoke him, trying to get under his skin. Vaibhav, of course, to his credit, doesn't react. Third incident, Naman Dheer's dismissal. Pakistan spinner celebrates by hurling a full-blown verbal send-off, pointing fingers towards the Indian dressing room, taunting a batter who's walking off rather calmly. Naman stays silent and he just stared back. No words were exchanged. Once again, the Indian youngsters showed a lot of restraint and a sense of maturity here. And once again, you can see the widening gap in class, not in cricket, but in conduct. And honestly, what more can you really expect? The Senior Asia Cup, Shaheen Afridi, Haris Rauf, the same theatrics, the same tactics. Even Abhishek Sharma had to call it out. But Haris Rauf didn't stop there. He was more belligerent, went ahead and did the plane crash celebration. A gesture that he got pulled up for a little later, but this is the image Pakistan's senior team is teaching their juniors with. This is what is trickling down, and the juniors are simply aping it all that they've seen so far. If that's the way the seniors show, if that's what the seniors show, that's what the juniors will take forward. And it does not stop with cricket. Earlier this year, Asia Oceania Junior Davis Cup is the stage. A Pakistani junior tennis player aggressively shook hands with his Indian opponent after the match, right after losing that match. So clearly there's a pattern. When young athletes grow up learning that sledging, mocking, abusing and politicized gestures are normal, the future of the rivalry then stops being about the sport itself. It becomes a battlefield instead. This is what India versus Pakistan fixtures have now come down to. Not sporting contests, not camaraderie, not rivalry that's built on true sportsmanship or respect, but bitterness passed on like its inheritance. A reason why Rof's gesture at the Asia Cup did more damage than you'd think. These youngsters should be learning cover drives, swing bowling, footwork, discipline, not hostility, stare-downs and political point scoring. A rivalry is beautiful only when it elevates the sport. Unless the senior players reset that culture, future face-offs are headed only in one direction. More controversy, more conflict and less cricket. Time for last serve. North Korea is making giant strides in the sporting world. Their under-17 women's team won the Football World Cup in Morocco. The players returned home to a massive reception. Watch the winners celebrate the historic moment with their loved ones. That wraps it up here on Firstpost. I'll of course see you again tomorrow. Till then, do take care. Bye.
Firstpost now available in 9 languages on YouTube. English,
Stands at $36 trillion.
French,
Le FMI, comme
German,
Geschäftsführenden Direktoren,
Hindi,
$30 trillion ka karjo.
Indonesian,
Pemerintah tanpa pemeriksaan.
Italian,
Kali radikali.
Japanese,
4 兆ドル以上も
Portuguese,
por causa do próprio balanço patrimonial.
Spanish.
Beautiful bill.
Go to Settings, click on Audio Track and select the language of your choice. Be the first to know what's happening around you in your first language. Firstpost.